Everybody
Hey, Greg,
doing? Josh, how you doing?
good. How are you?
Great.
What, what are your first memories of working with Drew back at Purdue, and at what point did you realize that he was going to be someone special?
I would say probably about a week into the two-a-day training camp. As a matter of fact, I saved an article from the West Lafayette Journal. Brees climbs the depth chart because of accuracy, and that was the biggest reason. He was extremely accurate at that time in his life as well. But his accuracy really jumped out at us, and his ability to throw the ball.
Hey, Greg, Jerry McDonald, how you doing?
Good, Jerry. How are you?
Good. Now that you've been through it, what was the experience like of no crowd in terms of communication, in terms of just the atmosphere? What were your impressions?
I think like a lot of players and coaches throughout the league have said, it was really like a scrimmage. It felt like it was a scrimmage out there, and that just no emotion out there from a crowd to kind of get the players going. You had to generate your own excitement on the sidelines. But you could hear different calls on the other side of the field, and they could hear ours, obviously. So you could hear a lot. It just seemed like a scrimmage.
Hey, Greg, this is Vic. Josh Jacobs mentioned that he worked with Hunter Renfrow and Edgar Bennett on his choice routes. What did you see in that process, and how much choice is actually involved in the choice routes?
Different teams teach it differently. We give them 3 choices to make. Part of his off season, he wanted to become a complete player. He didn't want to be taken off the field, and part of that, our challenge to him was to become a complete route runner. And so he did spend time with Hunter Renfrow. He did spend time with Jalen Richard, and we feel like he's developing into that full-time player. So we're happy with his development that area. He can still get better. He's still out working right now with the quarterbacks, working on choice routes and other routes that we ask our running backs to run in third down situations. So it's been great.
Greg, in years past, the Saints defense was one that kind of just, you'd see a shootout back and forth either way, but it seems like they've kind of changed a lot. What have you seen from this defense, more so just personnel-wise over the last couple of years, specifically how different they are this year?
They're still very strong and well coached. A lot of us know Dennis Allen, and he comes, from the background. He's been there. He was there, when Greg Williams was there. So it's very similar philosophy as Greg Williams, which is an attacking style of defense. They give you multiple looks, especially on third downs. They're very multiple in what they do. But I see a lot of similarities to the Greg Williams defense that he's playing now. That Greg employed back in the 2010, 2011 years. So a lot of similarities there.
Coach Olson, Leva Edwards with Raiders.com. How much faith do you have in Denzel Good if he has to line back up at right tackle after his game against Carolina and this week at practice?
Well, we have a lot of confidence in Denzel. We've talked about it in the past, just the depth that we have really across the board on our side of the ball. We felt going into training camp that we had very good depth in the offensive line and really across the board, like I said, all positions, running back, quarterback, wide receiver, tight ends. But we didn't think that we would lose 2 tackles, obviously, in the opening game. And Denzel has played some tackle in his past, so that helped him as well. And Tom Cable, he likes to train those guys to play every position across the board, so that has helped him. But a lot of confidence in our offensive line going forward.
Hey, Greg, it's Paul.
Yep.
I don't even know if fun is the right word, but how kind of unique is that to have that speedy threat like Henry Ruggs to take the top off the defense and open up everything else underneath, and to the point where the defenses have to respect his speed, and it opens up the playbook.
Yeah, and you saw we took 2 shots early in that game to Henry and completed one, and the second play of the game was incomplete. But it opens up not only some of the underneath throws that you're going to have, some of the check downs, but it also opens up the run game. And again, the speed factor is great, but also the talent level. He's a very good route runner, and so that's another thing that they're going to have to defend. Certainly they'll see the speed, but he is a good route runner, accomplished route runner, and we're happy that we have him.
2 more questions, guys. Hey, Coach, Case from Las Vegas Sun. I know injuries are part of the game, and you said you're confident in your depth, but, week one, first half, it seemed like you guys are having someone go down or limp off the field every other play. What was that like for you, and what did it change not only Sunday but this week as you still deal with some of those?
Well, again, as a lot of teams would say, it's a next man up mentality, and that's kind of been Coach Gruden's philosophy since he's been a head coach. And one man goes down, the next man's got to step up. And so, that's the mentality you have to take as a coaching staff. We'll continue to research the waiver wires across the league and see what other players might be available out there to bring in for tryouts. But right now, again, like I said, we feel like we've got good depth, and we'll play with the players that we have right now. We'll expect them. We have expectations, and the standard that's been set by those 5 guys. Really, with Rodney Hudson leading the charge, there's a very high expectations in that room and very high standards that whoever comes in and steps in and plays that, whether it's Denzel or anybody else, there's a standard to play in that offensive line, and they'll be expected to meet that.
Hi, Greg. Levi Damien from USA Today.
Yep.
It's kind of on that same note. I mean, obviously this week there's been a lot of uncertainty about that right tackle position. How do you go about preparing for a guy like Cam Jordan without really knowing who you're going to be putting in there?
Yeah, it's obviously not an ideal situation, but teams across the league deal with injuries, and we're not any different than any other team in the National Football League. That we know that injuries are part of the game, and again, we feel like Tom has done a good job of developing that room, and really he prepares for these scenarios by playing those guys out of position. And a lot of offensive line coaches may not do that, but he plays those guys out of position with that thought in mind that should somebody go down, I got to make sure that on game day all of these guys can play multiple positions. So again, Denzel's played a lot of football. He's played football at a high level, not only here but in Indianapolis as well. And so we have high expectations to him, and he has high expectations of himself. And you certainly hate to lose a starter. It's not ideal. Hate to lose a backup to him. It's certainly not ideal. But again, they'll rise to the challenge.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.